But, you know, with the right level of, you know, planning that's integrated, with the right level of continuing assessments and accountability and tweaking of the plans, with the right level of confidence and progress being made, you know, following the plan, we should, in about 5 to 10 years, get to a situation where some key partners actually just continue to spend X number of their budget, which may be slightly more than the 10%, in a core pot that drives education improvement in an integrated manner in the province of the Northern Cape. So, colleagues, at this point, we're making the call to action. We're requesting all the partners who have what it takes in form of social capital, of material and non-material sense, to come together, to work together with the Department of Basic Education in the province of the Northern Cape to drive a common plan. The idea here is that we should all work towards a singular Northern Cape improvement, development. We should all work towards a singular education system. We should all work towards a singular goal. We should all work towards a singular plan. We should all work in a singular network. We should all work in a singular resourcing pool. We should all work in a singular accountability system. And we should all work towards a common messaging. Education is almost the only sector where partners actually go to the delivery points and send different messages. It can't be right in one system. I know Old Mutual is here. There is no way that different consultants can run to different Old Mutual outlets and run different training programs or send different messages. It can't be. It doesn't work like that. Education is the only sector. I think gradually, working together, we can change the situation. So, Chair, in closure, I just want to quickly just recognize some of the partners, Premier and MEC. You've been asking whether there are partners here. Of course, you know, Kumba, Anglo-American Kumba Iron Ore are here. Vodacom told, you know, join this August, you know, the function. There's MTN, there's Standard Bank, there's Velde Clave, there's Orion Minerals, the South African Radio Astronomy Observatory, SARIO, I did say Old Mutual, there's Argenis Solar, and Kusis, you know, Solar. Please go and talk to your Alternative Energy Association, voltaic and wind, and please, they come on board, because many of those are in the Northern Cape. Premier gave me his number, and I'm going to call Premier to go after you, to come and support this initiative. There's Redstone, there's Aqua Power Redstone, there's Optimitech 360, there's Funitex, there's SIOC CDT, there's SICA, Premier and MEC. We try to get as many of our partners and potential partners to be here. There's other competing things, and we had under pressure to get this work going. So what's going to happen here with the agreement that we have with the HOD is that we are going to go on a roadshow to make sure that more of our partners actually get to understand what the plan encapsulates and what opportunities are there for them to come on board and support what will be a singular Northern Cape education improvement plan for the next 10 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Godwin Khoza. You appreciate, I think, my reluctance to interrupt him at all, but let me just recognize that by this time of the evening, I should be calling on the CFO to be making some closing remarks. But let's not do that yet, colleagues. We've got a panel discussion. Some of the participants, and I'm sure we'd want to hear from them, particularly some of those who haven't yet had an opportunity to speak, and also an opportunity for any of you, if you have any questions, any comments, any recommendations perhaps, this would be the opportunity to do so. So if I can, please invite the Premier onto the stage together with the MEC, Dr. Khoza, back again if we can. And then Ms. Tando Njoko from Kumba Iron Ore, please, and Dr. Ishmael, yourself as well. We just want to move the podium, so while you take your seats, please go ahead. Anyway, I'm sure it's fine. Thanks very much. That was very efficient indeed. Thank you all, and thanks to the panel for joining us. Premier, you have had a chance to speak this evening and obviously gave us a lot of food for thought. One of the things you emphasized was the role of education in reducing inequality, and obviously a major priority. But you position this province also as a smart province, a modern province, a growing province. And I just wondered if you could maybe elaborate a little bit on that side of things, and what would you expect from this multi-year education improvement plan to help you achieve that kind of vision as well, while keeping that focus on inequality? Can I ask you just to do that? And please, colleagues, at any stage, there are questions from yourselves, we'd welcome them. Premier, please go ahead.
I should stand up.
Up to you. I think you're welcome to sit if you wish.
No? I was just eating some nuts now, but because it's past the dinner time. Thank you very much, Mr. Hindle. Let me just try to, maybe it's something that we did not mention, is that when the sixth administration started in 2019, we asked ourselves, what's our development agenda? And we all agreed that we won't have an unguided drift, where everyone is just doing his own thing based on his own personal instinct and likes. But we said it can't be an unguided drift. So we canvass our views over a certain period of time, and we agreed that our development agenda should be anchored on 3 pillars. The first pillar is that we need to modernize the province. And the second pillar was growing the economy, and the third pillar is to make this province successful. But if you look at all the 3 pillars, they are intersecting. Because the first one about modernizing the economy, about modernizing the province, it's more about how do you leverage modern technology in order to make it easy for people to access government services. And in the education department, we've introduced quite a number of programs. In the past, when the schools opened in January, parents had to wake up around 3 o'clock in the morning to go and queue outside the school gate. And that thing is no longer happening now. By the time we close this year, parents would know at which schools their children will have been accepted, what placement have been placed for next year. All of that is because of the online registration system that we introduced in the education system, which is part and parcel of modernizing the province. So we've embarked quite on a number of initiatives to ensure that we modernize the province, we leverage modern technology to ensure people have got better access to government services. And modern technology basically proves to be less expensive. We introduced a program. If you go to a cabinet meeting national, or you go to a cabinet meeting in any province in the country, the MECs and the ministers who are sitting there, you have to ask them to move the documents in front of them to see who is seated there. Because they sit behind piles and piles and piles of documents. They go through files as the cabinet meeting is going on. That's not happening in the province. In the country, we are the first province to introduce a paperless cabinet meeting. We are paperless, don't use paper. So that's part and parcel of our, and initially we thought it's expensive, but only now we realize the kind of benefits and the savings that we derive out of that. And the second pillar of our strategy is growing the economy. We know without growing the economy, we won't be able to address the serious challenges of unemployment, and particularly youth unemployment, poverty, and high levels of inequality. So we've embarked on programs to grow our economy. In 2019, the GDP of the province was about 117 billion rand. Now it's about 158 billion rand. And it was not a jobless growth. You know, when GEAR was introduced by Thabo Mbeki around 1996, I was also one of the anti-GEAR protagonists who believed that this GEAR would lead to a jobless growth. You must never listen to anybody who tells you about jobless growth. That does not exist. There's no such thing as jobless growth. If the economy grows, it creates jobs. There's no such thing as jobless growth. With the growth in our economy from 117 billion to 158 billion rand, we've managed to create jobs from 255,000 people that were employed. Now we are standing at around 350,000 people that are working in the province because of the growth in the economy. So as we woke up this morning, more than 300,000 people went to work. But about 5 years back, when you woke up here in the Northern Cape in the morning, there were about 255,000 people. Without growing the economy, you won't be able to receive, to get those results. So if the economy grows, increase in aggregate demand and supply of goods and services leads to job creation. But we then agree the third pillar is making the province successful, anchoring that on two programs, education and health. Two programs, and you see how they relate to each other. Because what we need to do in the province, one of our biggest problems is that our unemployed, it's your low-skilled unemployed people. Our unemployment pool, it's low-skilled base. People don't have skills, the ones who are unemployed. That is the reason I don't want to raise this argument here. In the last extended cabinet meeting, one of the issues which I was raising, which the brilliant minds can start to digest, is that we are sitting with unindustrialized urban proletariat in the country. People who might never work for the rest of their lives. That is the problem that we are sitting with. People who there's absolutely no prospect that they will earn a salary for the rest of their lives. And the only opportunity that they will get to get a sustainable income every month is when they turn 60. That's the reality. So that's where business fits in, and that's where we call upon you to partner with us. If we improve the quality of education, we expose our children to better education, we'll be able to address all these challenges. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Premier. I can just say the Human Resource Development Council the other day faced that same challenge around employability, and where they have focused on obviously increasing employability where you can, they've added a second category to recognize those who may never be unemployed, and the intent there, they said, is to give purpose and meaning to their lives. Even if you don't work, there are things you can do that give meaning and purpose, and it might be that we need to look at some of those. MEC, you've clearly been given a pretty broad mandate, some of which you'll be able to do over the next 10 years, but some of which you'll need to do immediately. What would be your starting point? First couple of things you want to get going with straight away.
Thanks, Mr. Hindel. I think as a province, we are clear in terms of the key focus areas. That is why I think business and all other stakeholders, role players can take comfort in the fact that we've been able to identify and narrow down what should be our focus areas. For us, number one is ECD. We have now transferred that function from DSD to Department of Education. There's a lot of work that we still need to do in terms of that particular area, ranging from infrastructure, ranging from the capacitation and assistance to the ECD practitioners to get the full qualification, and a number of other areas that we still need to focus on. Second priority, obviously, would be teacher development. We can do whatever we want to do and plan whatever we want to plan. If we do not attend to the issue of proper and effective teacher development. The third point, priority that I wanted to raise is the issue of the digitization of the education and learning space. For that to happen, you need properly qualified and properly trained teachers to be able to do that. So that's the third area that we need to focus on. Obviously, the fourth area, which is immediate in nature, is the issue of numeracy and literacy. That we need to take serious, and then also the STEM subjects, including maths and science. You would have seen the areas that have been highlighted that focus on the pain. The pain in the Northern Cape, two areas in relation to maths and science. First one is in relation to the uptake of maths and science in the province. In a province where we have an endowment in the area of mining, which will be for the area, the booming province would be the Northern Cape in the next 50 years in terms of mining. So you need properly qualified young men and women that can actually be also able to benefit and access those opportunities. But second to the issue of mining is the issue of renewable energy. Your wind, your solar, even now we are speaking of hydrogen, the development of green ammonia and grey ammonia, and all the derivatives that come with it. For that to happen, you need young people that are skilled in that high-end kind of qualifications. For people, young people of the province to actually derive benefit from those opportunities. So those key areas that I've highlighted, ECD, teacher development, numeracy and literacy, and obviously infrastructure development are key. Thanks.
Thank you, MEC. Certainly, I think elements towards building that small province that you talk about. There was a story today about a school, I think, in Cape Town. They have classes of 100 or so, one teacher, and technology supported. Is that a possibility? Is it something we need to look at? So there are options, I think. I'm going to turn to the private sector now, if I may, and change the order a bit. You've seen the multi-year education improvement plan, but I suppose all corporates would have their own preferences, their own interests. There's some that are sexier than others. Godwin has spoken of the need sometimes to get funding into higher levels of the system, which might not always be attractive. How do you think business will align with this kind of multi-year plan? Does it have to fit in, or does it do its own thing? What's your thinking about this plan and how it's going to work for you?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Duncan. And I think it's a good question just because it reflects that we recognize that CSI investment, corporate social investments, should be aligned with some sustainability goals of some sort, rather than just being once-off or nice to have. So there's a lot to say on this topic, but I think I'd rather just share some 3 insights, which I do think actually they are aligned with what I've heard being said today. So the first thing, and I'm going to then also just specify in relation to education, of course. So the first thing is that the education programs that we design within our CSI programs need to be strategic. And by that, what I mean is that they need to have clear objectives, they need to have specific targets, they need to have key performance areas and indicators as well. And most importantly, they should be aligned with the external environment, right? I think Mr. Khoza mentioned that. But also the internal context of the company. If this is not done, those projects can never be impactful. They won't be sustainable. That's my opinion, that's my experience as well. Because those things are basically the anchors of any social investment project, including education. So for example, if we design a program that is not aligned with the strategic imperatives of the company, what happens when we go ask for the budget? We may likely get it one year, we may not get it the other year, but the projects in the company that are competing for the resources of the company, that are more aligned with the strategic objectives of the company, they would get the preference. So there's definitely a way that we can align education programs, or even health programs, MEC, to the objectives of the company. The second thing in relation to the external environment is that we also need to align with the needs of the external stakeholders. So in this instance, the Department of Education. Because if we don't, and we go and design our own projects, what happens? We don't get any support from the authorities. We don't even land the projects in the schools. Or if we do, they're not sustainable. So that's the one thing around education programs being strategic. The second one is that every education program should have a theory of change that supports it. And by that I mean we should define the impact as we design the programs, the impact that we want to see. So for me, I look at the multi-year education program. What it does is that it's actually giving us a playbook as the private sector for defining those theories of change for our interventions. So if the province says, hey, these are our priorities that we want to tackle in education, it goes without saying that our projects actually and our programs should align with that. We should be defining our theories of change looking at this playbook. There isn't anything else. So I guess if we want to be specific, one of the things is the education program has to define the impact that it wants to achieve. Where is that impact? The impact is in the playbook. What is the playbook associated with? The multi-year education improvement plan. So basically we have a logical framework that we've been given by the province. And I think maybe the last thing then I would say, because I said I have 3 points, and I'll use a specific example that we've had at Kumba, is that we went through, recently actually, we went through a process where we reviewed our education program, our education strategy. And what we did is we consulted stakeholders, key stakeholders, including the Department of Education, especially at district level, but also we considered the lessons that we've learned from the previous projects that, and the programs that we've implemented. And personally, as I was observing what the plan is about, and it was the first time that I was exposed to it, I was really happy to see that I can identify elements of our own programs in this plan. So already I can see that, okay, we are aligned. But most of it is because we did go on this stakeholder engagement and also just reflecting on the lessons on what works and what doesn't work. So my reflection is stakeholder input for CSI programs, especially for education programs, is absolutely imperative. And I think in closing, I would say that I don't think we have a choice. We have to align with the vision. Otherwise, the investments are actually not investments. They're just once off, just, you know, money that we're throwing away, actually, I would say. But then it would be remiss of me if I don't mention that for CSI interventions in education, in health, in other sectors as well, government has to create the environment that ensures that the investments that we're making are actually sustainable for the future, but also they are transformative. And I'm saying this about government, but I'm also saying it about the communities, like the truck driver that the Premier was talking about. We need all of those. We need all of those players, yeah, in the solution. Thank you.
Including yourselves. Thank you very much. Indeed. Godwin, a quick one for you. In the invitation to the meeting, it says one of the outcomes of today is to position the Northern Cape as a model for education transformation. This has been a very rigorous process, obviously, of planning. Is this a model that could be used by the provinces, recognizing that there are special characteristics to the Northern Cape that has maybe made this easier or more difficult, I don't know. But are there lessons that we could learn here that perhaps other provinces could look at and see and take some lessons from?
Well, I think certainly, but it's also, you know, fair to recognize the differences in provinces. But nevertheless, you know, open the door for inter-provincial lessons. What we have seen at national level and what we are seeing in the Northern Cape, that perhaps is a lesson that other provinces can take, it's political will. And I'm not saying this because you are here, Premier. I have observed you. And I know a number of premiers. I don't know as many premiers as I observe them. But you have demonstrated the political will, wanting to get closer, you know, to the education, you know, business, leading from afar, wanting to understand, supporting. I am yet to see a province that spends that much of its budget on education. And we've learned in the past, I've worked with a couple of MECs and presidents and so on. And what one defining, you know, factor, it's leadership. If the leadership puts its pound of flesh and leads from the front, it's bound to succeed, you know, this plan. So yes, we're pioneering this, and we're pioneering it because from the 3 years of engagement, we have seen that we have actually very, very active actor groups in education who are wanting to help. And many of them often have come across saying, but we want to be led. We want the education system to tell us where to go so that we can go there. And I think this is one way of starting to say, if you want to help, this is how you need to help. So the Northern Cape will be leading in that respect because it's saying we have looked at where the gaps are and how we want to drive this sustainable transformation of education. This is how you can help us, and we hope that, you know, not just the private sector, but the other players, whether it's teacher unions, universities, and there are even international players, by the way. There's also big associations of business, which actually I think have to come on board and lend a hand. And the final point is that, you know, in the same vein, I think the department, the system, the receiver of the support also have to show good, gratitude. And part of those will be in how we openly, we're transparent about the use of these resources, how we engage together with the investors in rigorous assessment of the return on investments and reporting back and so on. And I think if we do that, we'll continually build the confidence of the partners to invest through one mechanism whose purpose is to drive education improvement. Thank you.
Thank you. A very important lesson. Let me turn now, thank you, Godwin. Head of Department, Dr. Ishmael. Political will is clearly an element of this, and it seems to be here in plenty. But political will without the administration to carry it out is, in a sense, empty rhetoric. What do you need besides that political will and, besides the money? What are the other ingredients that will make this plan make a difference in the province?
Education department has, and this is particularly senior managers, executive leaders, has shown that there's complete buy-in. There's really a notion of self-agency. They want to develop, they want to grow, they want to be part of this. So in our discussions and in our debates, particularly with the professionals that have been placed, the consultants that have already embedded themselves in education. There's an open reflection on our gaps and how we can fix those gaps. So there is some tentativeness at times, but I think as confidence grows, things are going to be much easier and much better. The theory of change is key because we demand accountability. I think in the Premier's accountability sessions with us already tells you people prepare well in advance because they know that there will be rigorous debate, rigorous discussion on key topics and key areas, and assistance will be provided. So there's this confidence and mutual understanding that it is only in a atmosphere of togetherness and collaboration that we will be able to fix things. We cannot fix things alone. You know, education is monstrous. It's very complex. And I think over the months, there really has been a huge degree of wanting to do things and wanting to do things right. I remember many years ago, colleagues, I accompanied the then HOD of Education, and we think of him in a very, very beloved way because he just was a very charismatic leader who knew exactly what he wanted. And we visited one of the conferences with which the Council for Education or Center for Education Policy Development put together. He had written the first proposal, longitudinal study proposal for to measure the impact of outcomes-based education. And Prof. Godwin was the sidekick then. Kevin mentored Godwin. And at that time already in education, we came back with research studies. Very proudly he presented it to teachers here, and there's some youngsters in the team as well. But I think now that we have a certain organizational culture that is emerging, one of constant tracking, constant reflection, constant doing better, we are able to take this plan and really move the province a long way. Thanks.
That sounds like a very nice conclusion, and I'm sure we all wish you well with that. I think the notion of agency, if we can get every official, every teacher, every parent, every citizen of this province, frankly, to become an agent of the plan, we will see it working. Colleagues, it is getting late, but is there anyone who has a comment, a question? Ma'am, over here, can we get a microphone there, please? Please keep it brief, but we do need to hear from you. Would you introduce yourself?
Thank you very much, Program Director. My name is Chandwe Mfulo. I come from the Organization of Disabled People South Africa, a human rights organization of disabled people. My comment is around the study that was done. Does it include disability? That's what I want to understand. And why I'm asking this, in the disability world, we've got a lot of children who will never be able to do maths and science. They will never do it. But give them something to do it with their hands, they will do it. I think earlier this year, we had a case at Standard Bank where it was hacked by a child with Down syndrome in Pretoria, the whole of Standard Bank. That child cannot read and write, but he was able to hack the bank. And our education system says you must be able to know read and write, maths, whatever. So my question is, these things, when they're being done, it means disability is going to fall through the cracks. And I would like this research that was done to go back and make sure that disability becomes included. The other issue is around the mines or the business people. They'll be telling you that we are not going to fund you if you don't go stay around JTG. JTG is Kurum and the Kumba mines where they are. I'm just making an example with them. In the meantime, from the same mine that is there, a disabled person, the person becomes disabled in the mine. Where do they stay? They don't stay in Kuruma. It's either Kimberley, Limpopo, because we work with all the provinces. Then you have to go and do counseling. But the same company doesn't want to fund you because you don't stay around as NGOs. So for me, even the issue of education, I'm not clear. I was thinking that she's going to tell us that in terms of education, this is how we do it, this is our assistant. And the last one, Chair, it's around the low skills. What is the plan? When I grew up a school of disabled people. We had children that were very good in maths and everything. They will excel. But the same school was teaching other children to use their hands. And that was recognized as a qualification. At this moment, here in Northern Cape, we've got children there in one of the schools. They are boiler makers. They're electricians. They do all these things. But at the end of the year, or when they reach 18, the certificate does not even say you know that. So we need to relook when we talk about inclusive education. Now there's a white paper 6 around inclusive education. I'm asking myself, within the Department of Education here, who are those people who are dealing with inclusive education? Because if they were there into the plan, I wouldn't be asking this question to the gentleman. And also education. When we grew up, we used to call it sub A, sub B, standard 1, standard 2. You'll be taught in your mother tongue. You know why? When you go to English, because you are very good in your mother tongue, it's easier to go. Nowadays, we just start at grades, at ECT, and we want children to speak English. They lose it because it's not their mother tongue. So I want us to relook at that. Thank you, Program Director.
No, thank you very much, and I think some very important points raised there. Some of them are comments, some of them might need further explanation, but we'll allow that. I do see another hand there, if we can take that. Ma'am?
Good evening. I'm Hilda Barnard from Custodia Trust. We are focusing on education, and we specifically mentioned early childhood development. If we need to have access for our small children in the Northern Cape, I would suggest that we start with an advocacy campaign with the municipalities, because at the moment we need to build at least 26 classrooms every day to provide access. But if you look at the plans of the municipalities, there is no land zone for ECD. We cannot build buildings, we cannot provide access until the municipalities come to the party.
Thank you indeed. Local government has a key role here. MEC, are you in discussion with your colleagues on that issue?
Thanks for the question. And I think on our side we can safely say that the good fortune of having this discussion is that we have had what we call the G20 summit, and our summit focused on ECCE and the ECD, exploring the ECD landscape in the Northern Cape. And those are some of the challenges that she's raising in relation to ECD for us to address that. And I agree, the approach is obviously to engage SALGA, and obviously to engage at a district level with the political IGRs, and also through engagement with the Premier, get it on the agenda of the PIGF. So that at that level we are able to actually make the case for the available land and the zoning thereof. Because we are saying, yeah, not that we don't believe, we all believe. We are saying for churches, there are situations where municipalities provide land and put land available for churches, sometimes for free or sometimes for a serious discount. And we want to advocate that for the case of ECD, given the state of ECD in the province and in the country, we need to take that campaign of advocacy seriously forward. And I can just confirm that indeed it's part of the road ahead around the whole issue of ECD. There are a number of issues. The province, we have 874 ECD practitioners teaching grade R currently. And we are sitting, that 874 are those who are not having the full qualifications. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. She will be able to tell you that we're having serious challenges in terms of the space of ECD. And that's why I have a serious commitment, and Premier, even from the side of provincial governors, directed us to focus on the issue of ECD. Thanks.
Thanks very much, MEC, and certainly innovation is needed there as well, isn't it? Yes, I appreciate that. Dr. Ishmael, do you want to comment on the inclusivity issue? Just briefly, I'm sure many of the issues, yeah?
Thank you, Duncan. Ma'am, colleagues, I think importantly, the vision of this plan is about a transformed, inclusive education system. Inclusivity forms a huge part of it. And therefore, we do have our special schools who provides the kind of differentiated approach to assist learners with special needs. But apart from that, all schools now have been declared inclusive schools, full service schools. So differentiation should take place in each and every school. This is another monster and a mountain to climb, given the fact that teachers have to be trained. And therefore, the MEC spoke about continuous professional teacher development. The other area is mother tongue. We are embarking on a pilot with the multilingual or mother tongue bilingual education. This is taking place and it is being implemented early into 2026 so that learners are not disadvantaged when it comes to mother tongue. We know how the fact that learners have to write the international tests, Duncan. They have to write these international tests in English when they get to grade 4. And this does put our children on a back foot. So the education system is very aware of these things. And therefore there's a multi-pronged approach to try and remedy the situation, but continuous professional teacher development is key. I'm a bit nervous today, colleagues. Guess why? I'm sitting next to the Premier.
Thank you very much. And certainly on that mother tongue based bilingual education, the advocacy that is needed, not just obviously among educators, among parents. And that's the kind of role that I think we can expect civil society to play to explain the benefits of these things that aren't always understood. Colleagues, I'm going to call it a day for this panel. So can we please give a warm round of applause to all the panelists. Thank you very much indeed to all of you. And with that, I think it's my pleasure, the man who's paid for this event, the CFO, now needs to come and pay the bill. So if I can invite, please, the CFO to come up, make some closing remarks and a word of thanks.
Thank you very much, Program Director. I'm really getting worried as I'm standing here. I've seen a couple of people that are sleeping already past bedtime, so I will try to be quick. Honorable Premier, Dr. Zamani Saul, MEC for Education from Vosloo, CEO of the National Education Collaboration Trust, Dr. Khoza, labor formations present, the business leaders, all councillors present, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. We as the Northern Cape Department of Education and the provincial government are grateful and appreciative of the partnership that has been established with the National Education Collaboration Trust and the work that has given birth to this blueprint, which is the multi-year improvement plan. We take great pride in the quality of the plan and the work that has gone into it, encompassed in the document. These plans will indeed take us to greater heights, starting from now as we speak, until many years to come. As it has been reiterated earlier on, through the proper implementation of this plan, we aim to see a balanced improvement throughout the system, right from the ECD phase up to grade 12 in terms of literacy, numeracy, and all other systemic measures that we have in the system. If I make an example, during our times when we're still at school, for example, when it comes to numeracy, I remember the days where all learners used to, for example, in Afrikaans lessons, produce one sentence that says, the man kap the wood, throughout the primary schooling system. But when we got to what we used to call Standard 6 high school, everything changed.
first teacher you meet asks, we had the old khikap. Then all our problems started there. That, hey, this Afrikaans thing is really problematic. So what I'm trying to say is that our literacy levels and improvements that are required, this plan will definitely take us somewhere into greater heights as it relates to the improvement of literacy levels. As officials of the provincial government and the Northern Cape Department of Education in particular, we should therefore all rally behind the full implementation of the plan to ensure that we derive the full benefits of the intellect that has gone into the plans. This will take us to the achievement of all the goals set for our learners in the province and spell success as it is in the vision of the 7th administration. I would like to therefore thank all the key role players that are present today, Honorable Premier, Dr. Zamani Saul. We know that you take particularly education matters to heart. You are quite passionate and we are very appreciative of that. Thank you very much for your contribution and support. To our MEC, Mr. Vosloo, you have pushed us very hard in order to ensure that you see the results, you see the necessary contributions that had to be made in order to realize this plan. For that, we really appreciate and thank you very much for that. Our acting HOD was also involved. We appreciate her drive. She contributed quite a bit in terms of the work that has gone into the plan, in terms of directing it and making sure that it is sharp enough in order to take us to where we want to be in terms of the general improvement of the education system. Dr. Khoza and your entire team at the NECT, sometimes it felt like some form of slave driving from your team. They were pushing us very hard, especially in the beginning when things were still a bit unclear. But I think when this plan started to take shape, we started seeing a lot more that could be achieved from it, and we appreciated it and we contributed even more right from the senior management level and throughout the organization, and we are appreciative of that. Today, I think it is clear the kind of effort that has gone into this plan. And thank you very much for all your involvement and driving your team towards assisting us. Labor formations for supporting us. I've seen our two labor formations in particular, SATU and Nehau, for all the support that they've given us. Officials of the department and officials of government in general, all your support is really appreciated. Business leaders and sponsors, a lot has been said about your contribution or the anticipated contribution that is yet to come. We appreciate your presence. Obviously, our discussions and talks do not end here today. And all other role players that have played a role into the crafting of the plan, including the organizers of the event. We appreciate and thank you for your support and thank you for all the great work that has happened in terms of making sure that this event is a success. In closing, let me refer to the great Albert Einstein on his famous quote that says, education is not only about learning the facts, but it's training the mind to think. And the implementation of this plan, the multi-year improvement plan, will ensure that we are able to produce great leaders going forward that are able to think openly and creatively instead of just reproducing what has been taught as facts. We therefore wish to extend our gratitude to all the attendees and dignitaries in this event for the presence and contribution. Our partnership does not end here, but should continue for at least the next 10 years to come in the best interest of the learners in the Northern Cape. Your sacrifice and support is truly appreciated, and I think from now on, since we have held this gathering in the presence of influential business leaders who are also progressive in their nature, we will be able, some of us, to sleep quite peacefully at night, knowing that there'll be a balanced approach and possibly resources coming into this entire plan. I then lastly wish everyone an enjoyable evening and a safe journey when you drive back to your various destinations. Thank you very much, Program Director.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Sekwacha. And it even looks as though he's forked out for some food for us as well. Thank you indeed, if that is the case. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Premier, I think we've probably taken much more of your time than we possibly deserve, but we do appreciate every moment of it. MEC, other dignitaries, thank you very much to all of you for being here. Those who made inputs, thank you indeed. Those who came here to listen, to be part of this implementation plan, thank you, we appreciate that. And I don't think there's anything more for me to say except enjoy your food, have a good evening. This particular dialogue is over. Thank you indeed.